This week has been filled with major headlines both in the U.S. and abroad. One America's Rachel Acenas takes us through the top stories of the week.
This past week, world leaders gather for the G20 summit in Germany. Americans celebrate the nation's independence, and NASA gets a big boost from the Trump administration. Here's more on those stories and the week's top headlines, in case you missed it.
As it orbits the Earth at about 253 statute miles, traveling at over 17,500 miles an hour.
The week kicks off with the SpaceX Dragon capsule detaching from the International Space Station and landing off the coast of California. Its cargo and experimental samples to be analyzed at a research center in the Golden State. Also on Monday, North Korea test launches its first apparent intercontinental ballistic missile.
North Korea launches a ballistic missile, the latest in a string of test fires over the past few months. The South Korean military confirmed the launch about an hour ago, and reports suggest the missile was aimed at the East Sea.
And abroad in Afghanistan, 19-year-old American soldier Hanson Kirkpatrick dies after being wounded by indirect fire during an attack in the Helmand province. On Tuesday,
and the home of the brave.
The White House hosts military families at a 4th of July picnic as Americans everywhere celebrate the country's independence. Also that day, nearly 15,000 immigrants become naturalized U.S. citizens.
I hereby declare on oath
During dozens of citizen induction ceremonies across the nation on the 4th of July. And abroad in London, the parents of a terminally ill child on life support who lost a legal battle to seek trial treatment elsewhere get offers of support from the president and the Pope.
Just one day after President Trump offered his support, a Vatican-owned children's hospital says it wants to take in a terminally ill British infant.
Midweek.
We're following developing news out of New York, where a police officer is dead after being shot early this morning. Officials say 48-year-old officer Myosotis Familia was sitting inside a command vehicle when she was approached by the gunman in what officials are calling an unprovoked attack.
Also on Wednesday, House Majority Whip Steve Scalise returns to intensive care due to infection concerns from a gunshot wound in the hip suffered during last month's shooting at the GOP baseball practice in Virginia. And abroad in Japan.
One person is dead and 6 others are missing after heavy rains caused major flooding in Japan. Over 400,000 people have been evacuated as torrential rainfall hit the western part of the country.
On Thursday, Vice President Mike Pence meets with astronauts who will help usher in a new era of space leadership.
We will return our nation to the moon. We will go to Mars, and we will still go further to places that our children's children can only imagine.
Meanwhile, in Eastern Europe, an enthusiastic crowd delivers a warm welcome for President Trump in Warsaw, Poland.
Just as Poland could not be broken, I declare today for the world to hear that the West will never, ever be broken.
Also on Thursday,
we're following breaking news out of Massachusetts, where a bomb squad is on the scene at Hanscom Air Force Base. The base just outside of Boston released a statement this morning that security forces detected potentially explosive material during a vehicle inspection.
Meanwhile, in the central Philippines, a 6.5 earthquake leaves at least 2 people dead and injures more than 100 others. And on the eve of a high-level political summit, a star-studded concert on Thursday in Germany.
Hello, Hamburg!
Political leaders and celebrities like Coldplay and Shakira gather for the Global Citizens Festival, which campaigns to end poverty worldwide. Finally, on Friday, the G20 summit in Hamburg, Germany, brings leaders of the world's most successful and emerging economies together. And coming up in the week ahead, President Trump returns home to the U.S. after the G20 summit, and Congress returns to Capitol Hill after a week-long recess. For One American News, I'm Rachel Acenas.